one of the most special episodes of the Inside Line F1 podcast. You ask why? Because Kunal has to hold up his phone like this to record. He's in Switzerland, the home country of a team that has gotten a podium for the first time in 13 years. And he's not the only person holding something really cool up because his former driver, I say his with a very big connotation, his former driver has finally gotten his first podium in Formula One after 238 times of trying. The driver who you worked with, Kunal, on the Force India Driver Academy has fended off the driver whose dad you worked with for the Force India Driver Academy. And now, Nico Hulkenberg is a podium sitter in a Sauber, which was last year with 4 points. Kudos to Jonathan Wheatley. Kudos to Nico Hulkenberg. And what do we say here? We never thought this day would come, Kunal. We never thought this day would come.
Yeah, I never thought you guys wouldn't like my original angle of the camera on my phone, and you're like, oh, okay, just hold it and test your shoulder, arm, bicep strength, whatever. But yeah, I mean, on in all seriousness, I mean, Nico Hulkenberg's first podium or Lewis's first podium at Silverstone with Ferrari, I'm pretty sure lots of fans were conflicted what to choose. But I think Hulkenberg on that podium is a lot more special for me personally, of course. I have had some fantastic memories with Nico at Silverstone. One of them is I can actually relive Soumil. Yes, he's done fantastic stuff on four wheels, but I think this was the 2011 British Grand Prix. We had a new motorhome, which Nico and I were, he was the reserve driver of the team at that time. So, we were just chilling and we were like, yeah, that's a lot of money there. Why don't we go check it out? And we were going to walk because the Silverstone factory of Force India, which is now Aston Martin, is just literally the opposite gate. Okay. And he said, no, I'm not going to walk. And I said, okay, fittest Formula One driver, says, I don't want to walk. What are we going to do? I was hoping he didn't say we'll run. But we pulled out an electric moped. Both of us put on helmets. I'm holding Nico by his shoulders because he was he was flying even in that. And then we mopeded our way to the British Grand Prix paddock. And yeah, I mean, that's one. And the other memory is him through Renault when the whole Hulkenberg's going to get replaced story came out. He and I spoke at length about how that podium was missing and how he never thought about it, but he knows he should get it at some point, and how it's been a mix of luck and whatever and whatever. And in fact, even his years off, I remember, I mean, several chats that I've had with him. Not that I need to make all of them public, but what I can try and make public is maybe I'm off to Hinwil tomorrow.
To meet Mr. Peter Sauber himself?
No. I meant the factory. I'm not meeting Mr. Peter Sauber. I was trying to meet Christian Daner, who was on our show last year, if you remember, Soumil, because I'm in Zurich. But no, a couple of weeks ago, I just reached out to my friends at Audi, and I said, hey, I'm in Hinwil. I mean, not in Hinwil, but I'm in Zurich. Could I come and check out the factory, do a tour? Can I buy some tickets if I have to? Because I know my daughter Antara is really eager to go as well. But let's see. Not nothing that I should speak of or not right now, apart from Hulkenberg becoming the oldest first-time podium finisher since I don't even know who probably was older than that, and he started 19th. I think, which is the lowest ever starting position for a podium finisher in Sauber's 32-year-old history. I think he went 19th to fourth last race weekend or something like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
and now that was a record at that time, and now he's got this
19th
record,
to ninth. And he's gone
something
and bettered that with a
on
podium
merit, on
on
merit,
merit.
on experience, and in fantastic conditions. And when he made the pit stop, he came out even more ahead of Lewis Hamilton. I don't know why Hamilton was on the softs, but either way, I think that's fantastic. 238 Grand Prix over 15 years of racing in Formula One. I stand by this, and I was arguing with somebody on Twitter. Who's a driver who's gone past his prime and come back to his prime? And I said, it's Nico Hulkenberg,
Yep.
literally. And the most successful midfield driver of recent times to have a 3-year break, Soumil, and come back to this with Sauber, which is going to soon be Audi. And I actually just spoke to Peter Sauber last week for Gulf News.
He left Formula One twice. and he still came back. And he never lets it go. And that strategy call was phenomenal. Multiple times have we seen Nico Hulkenberg just be at the right place at the right time after the pit stops, because he and his race engineer Stephen Petrick, the way that combination is working at stake, unbelievable what they're executing. And he did that on merit. He just timed his pit stop to perfection, had great judgment. There were so many drivers in front of him who boxed on the formation lap. There were so many drivers in front of him who took an extra pit stop. He was there at the right place at the right time, made that perfect stop, got a great jump, passed drivers on merit, and got past Lance Stroll in the end to get P3 and fended off Lewis Hamilton, who, even though he said he had a very snappy car, was posting fastest lap after fastest lap just for fun. And that
And
is,
I must explain that strategy because Piastri pitted for new enters after 11 laps in the race, as did Hamilton, Verstappen, Gasly. Albon was 12 laps, Alonso was 11 laps, literally every other driver 11 laps, Ocon 11 laps, Tsunoda 11 laps. We had Leclerc in. I'm reading my notes here, but we had Leclerc in literally at the start of the race to take on that medium, which was a disastrous strategy. We'll hopefully never get to that. But Hulkenberg took on those inters on the ninth lap, and that was it. Can you imagine that enters a couple of laps ago, and maybe it
undercut
was a
everyone.
high risk, high reward thing because he realized I'm anyway 19th and out of the points. Let me just take a call on these things. Luck, talent, strategy, all of that coming to fore or to the fore. I think Soumil.
Anuttara has summed it up perfectly. I cried for Hulk. I cried for Oscar. I cried for Lando. And she has a point. There are, I sense an imposter within the three. Do we want to touch up upon the imposter first, or do we want to touch up upon the celebrations? Because every
I
race win.
before we move, Sauber is up 2 spots in seventh place with 41 points,
What?
1 point away from Aston Martin. Nico Hulkenberg is ninth in the drivers' championship, 37 points. Albon is ace with 7 points, and Lance Stroll is back in the top 10 with 24 points. But I think we should talk about Piastri and what's happened. That's another big talking point, right? What did you and
Right.
Chetan call
Let's
on the fan
let,
code
let
official broadcast when you were doing commentary?
I don't want to get there right now. I want to go through
I mean,
the
you don't get
cele.
penalized for doing this with the FIA, do you?
No, we don't know. No, the way I called it on the broadcast was that it's unsafe. Firstly, it's dangerous for you to stop so slowly in the middle of a straight with so much spray. I think just as a precedent thing, that's pretty wrong from a safety point of view. Now, I'm still yet to go through the exact regulations and figure out what was the issue and why exactly the FIA gave the penalty. Because guys, I've only gotten enough time to take a leak and just put the camera on, and we're going live now. So the
I'll
FIA's
I'll tell you
official.
the
Oh, you
FI is
got the
actually
statement.
they released the document. They
Okay.
said it was driving unpredictably, errant, in a dangerous way,
Erratically? Yeah, yeah.
erratically. That's the word. Sorry, I've been hearing a lot of German and French last week. So anyway, but yeah, and my daughter decides to speak to me in Norwegian still, which is great. But so I think I think a penalty. I mean, it's a very harsh one. Firstly, Oscar said, I did it for the 5 laps before that, and nobody said anything to me about it. I don't know. I think I wouldn't say there's a bias, but suddenly to pull out a penalty for doing something like this, unless things like this were discussed in the drivers' briefing, where drivers were aware of whether this is something they could get penalized for. I don't know. I mean, it just, I mean, 10-second time penalty, taking away a race win, giving a British driver in a British team at the British Grand Prix a race win. Lando is now what, 7 points, 8 points away, 8 points away to Oscar Piastri, which is fine. But McLaren scored 1-2 in Austria and Great Britain consecutive times. Their fifth 1-2 in the season, almost for any of the recent seasons they've had. But I don't know. I think that penalty was a little too harsh for me.
So let's go through exactly what the race stewards have said. And by the way, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We are reading all of your comments. Prithvi, Person, D, Sarika, all of you folks. Person says Oscar break too much. That's what any person would say. Yeah, that's a really fun name you've got there, but also a very valid point. From 200 kph to 52 kph. These says if Max's car was set up for the wet conditions, it wouldn't have been noticeable. We'll get to that in a second. But the exact wordings from the FIA in document 39, they say infringement, breach of Article 55.15 of the FIA sporting regulations, and another appendix of the International Sporting Code, 2 penalty points, 10-second time penalty. The reason? The stewards reviewed positioning and marshalling system data, video, telemetry, team radio, and in-car evidence. When the clerk of the course had declared that the safety car was coming in on the lap and the lights were extinguished, Oscar Piastri suddenly braked hard and reduced speed in the middle of the straight between turn 14 and 15 from 218 kph to 52 kph, resulting in car 1 having to take evasive action to avoid a collision. The momentarily resulted in car 1 unavoidably overtaking car 81, a position which he gave back immediately. Article 55.15 of the regulations required car 81 to proceed at a pace which involved no erratic braking nor any other maneuver which is likely to endanger other drivers from the point at which the lights of the safety car are turned out. Fair.
Oscar said in the cool
Fair.
down room it was just a coincidence that the lights went out and he just slammed the brakes and whatever. Anyway, it's happened.
Even
The
then.
championship is even closer now.
Now, what do
Even
you
though
guys
Max
make
is
of
what
it?
69 points off. Yeah, but yeah, what do people make of it? Write to us. Tell us.
We have a few comments. Prithvi says, well, Oscar brake to get away from the safety car. And also 10 seconds is very harsh. And also Oscar did only in the last safety car. That's true. Oscar mentioned in the post-race radio, in fact, the interview, that he did it multiple times. It's only that one that got a penalty. So, of course, with more time, we will have to look into all the replay angles to see what exactly went down. But the key term here, Kunal, seems to be doing so after the safety car's lights are off, which means we're about to go racing and Oscar braked at that point erratically, which, with my understanding of the situation, seems to be the issue with the FIA.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, if it was just a coincidence, it's just unfortunate that such a coincidence cost him a race win. And for the first time, we also saw Oscar being a little rattled by this. And, of course, he's human.
Yeah.
He's a kid. He's just in his third season. Telling McLaren, if you guys thought it was unfair, maybe we should swap the cars and go racing again. My heart went out at him at that time, saying, wow, he must be feeling so much pressure. He knew he drove a solid race against Max,
Yeah.
who was driving fantastic. He pulled out 15 seconds of that lead after he overtook Max. But anyway, should we be switching to Max? Because
No, no, no,
that,
no, no.
not yet.
Should we? Not yet. I think we should just dissect what's gone on with Oscar just being rattled for the first time. Like, what do you make of that comment? And this question is not just for Kunal, everyone. It's also for you. You can also let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And thank you for sharing so many comments. That whole comment of let me go past and then we'll have a fair race. I didn't catch it 100% on the live broadcast because lots of engine noise and all that stuff. But did you get to hear it? And what did you make of Oscar asking McLaren to swap them around because he thought the penalty was unfair and that they should go racing even Stevens? I think that's a whole heap of rubbish, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he was just trying his luck. He was emotional. I think he was in.
Ah, well, it seems that Kunal's internet has gotten a 5 second penalty, so we should carry on the chat while Kunal comes back. Let us know what your thoughts are, and we do have comments. Prithvi is saying Oscar had 13 seconds lead before the first safety car, and also had a 4 second lead by the second, and he did close up quite a decent bit. I was honestly very impressed by the fact that in spite of the 10 second penalty, Piastri came out roughly within 5 seconds of Lando Norris. In terms of driving, managing the corners, making sure you adapt to the changing conditions very well. I think Oscar Piastri did a very good job. He even forced a couple of mistakes out of the great Max Verstappen, who we all know is a rain master. But then this is a chink in the armor, a sign that Oscar Piastri is not infallible, that he can also face pressure and make a few mistakes under that pressure. And Uttara said that Fairy Tale has still got 12 chapters left. You're right. We're only halfway through the season, and there is a lot more fun stuff coming our way. Well, Kunal seems to be joining again. And while he is joining in, let's go through some more comments. Person I said that the comment made no sense, and that really showed that Oscar wanted that win and was bothered by Lando winning the race and not him. Clearly, he was bothered. And it's 2 years in the row, right? Remember the story. Last year, Oscar Piastri was seemingly faster for multiple laps when McLaren decided to double stack both the cars. Lando got the preferential treatment because track position, rightfully. But Oscar, actually, they didn't decide to double stack. They could have double stacked. They didn't. Piastri stayed out for another lap. He lost the British GP for the first time over there. This is his second heartbreak at this circuit. And given the championship circumstances, given the fact that Oscar is now only 8 points ahead of Lando instead of the 15 that he walked in with, it's it's needless to say that he would be rattled, Kunal. That is just part and parcel of the whole game. Yeah, Kunal's still battling with the internet gremlins. Sadhna, thank you so much for joining, Sadhna. We all always love to read your comments. She said, well, Lando won at Oscar's home race, so Oscar winning at Lando's home race seemed cinematic. But the way it turned out was way more climatic, and I agree with you. This probably has to be one of the most entertaining British GPs, which is a very tough place to get to, considering how many good races this circuit produces just for fun, just for fun. Are you back though, Kunal? Are you back, and are we going to chat about Verstappen and more importantly, Lando Norris with you? Copy. We are checking.
Yeah.
I hear
Yes.
robots.
Went out of it. Like I said,
Well, the one thing for sure is that Swiss teams are doing well, but Swiss internet is probably not having the best of days. We're trying to make sure that Kunal can join us as soon as possible. But in the meantime, let's have that discussion. And I want to go back to a very early comment in this stream that came from our very good friend, Mohammed. He said, Lando has won the British GP at his home at the Lando stand. What a fairy tale. Exactly. And the best part is, this was all meant to be. Lando Norris, as a kid, used to come over to Silverstone to race go karts. He used to peek over the steel walls and be like, I want to see what the action is like. I want to see what's happening inside. Lando, and this is something he's mentioned in interviews previously, said that he imagined that he would win the race like Lewis Hamilton in a McLaren at Silverstone. And today, that dream is a reality. It only goes to show that dreams do come true. Dream big. And for sure, circumstances might be very contentious. Of course, we have discussed Oscar's penalty and what we feel about it, which, by the way, we would love to hear your opinions on even further as the stream goes on. But a win's a win. And Lando Norris has now won 2 races in a row, fourth win of the year. The confidence is back. The feel he
I don't
was looking for.
know.
That's here at last.
Hear me?
No. Unfortunate. Kunal's just off again. Let's go through a few more comments. Julian. Sky Sports did a comparison of restarts, but the one they compared with was a safety car. Oh, once again, I'll read this again. I went too fast. Sky Sports did a comparison of restarts, but the one they compared with was with the safety car still there. Bias is bad. Now, I'm not sure of what exactly they've done, but the key point that we have to be aware of was that Piastri got the penalty because the safety car in fact, the safety car had its lights go off. When the safety car lights go off, it means we're going green flag racing. And the FIA very specifically mentioned in the document that this maneuver of his was erratic because the safety car lights was off, and you're not permitted to do that. And that's a breach of the regulations in multiple ways. So Piastri got that penalty. Now, that's what the objective reality is. What's the subjective reality? Let us know down in the comments. Julian thinks there is bias. Nah. It's just not working. It's just not working with the internet. Person says also Carlos is having the worst luck. Actually, can you guys tell me what happened to Carlos Sainz in this race today? Because while I was commentating on Fanco's Hindi broadcast, my attention was very firmly set on Piastri and Lando, and then Nico and Lewis, a little bit on Pierre and Max, a little bit on Leclerc messing things up multiple times, and on Russell as well. By the way, I want to talk about that for a second. The strategy calls. Honestly, Mercedes had one of their worst races in terms of strategy this time out. That was a howler. Firstly, to bring in Russell at the formation lap to go for slicks clearly backfired. And then afterwards to bring him back on slicks again, that backfired too because Russell ended up having a very high speed spin. I think Mercedes had a howler today, like one of their worst races, especially at home. This is honestly not fair. It just does not work out given where they are in the World Championship. And the last I remember, they were 1 point ahead of Ferrari for second. Now Ferrari has outscored them. They are now 12 points behind Ferrari in third place in the Constructors' World Championship. So Ferrari have overtaken Mercedes, and there's a big World Championship moment right there. More comments. D has said, I wonder if drivers can appeal without the team. No, they can't. They need the team to apply a penalty. Person, after they put on the slicks, Carlos was going to overtake Charles and Charles lost control. Yes, on the curb. That happened. Carlos had to bail out. D has said, Oscar and Mark should go up to the stewards and throw some fast balls. I'm not sure if Mark Webber will be allowed there, but McLaren will go through it. But I found that comment very odd from Oscar, saying that they should swap the guys around and and let Oscar race Lando fairly. Like, what has Lando done in this? What's his fault? Like, what has he got to do with all of this? That comment just made me feel like Oscar was feeling the pressure for the first time. Person has said taking himself and Carlos both into the gravel. Are you talking about Leclerc, my friend? While I do take a sip of some tea, which my mom has made for me, she's very kind. What happened to Charles Leclerc, everyone, today? Well, tell me the whole story. I'm learning alongside you. All I noticed was he had two very crazy maneuvers on the Williams. I noticed that he had a bad strategy call at the very beginning. What else? All the Ferrari fans, were you noticing what went on there? Just allow me a second to take a sip of some tea. And also, while we wait for Kunal to rejoin. And let's keep the conversation going, folks. What a British EP. Hulkenberg getting a podium. Lando Norris winning at home. Nah, that is a crazy, crazy race. Person, thank you for putting in another comment. No, not on the curb after they put on the mediums. Much later when they were running P6, P7. That's what happened with Charles Leclerc. It's still a decent recovery drive. It's still a decent recovery drive. And at the end, where have they finished? Let's try to find that out very quickly. I'm just catching up with you guys, everyone. I've barely had any time to go through what happened in the race after commentating on it for Fan Code's Hindi broadcast. Okay, F1 race result, Great Britain, and Pierre Gasly is sixth. That is honestly unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Pierre Gasly in sixth, only their third points finish of the entire season. I am amazed at this. Now, let's not forget, folks, Alpine have been dead last. And coming into this weekend, they were evaluating the possibility of signing Valtteri Bottas as their second driver to get things going. And Pierre Gasly said, I don't think we're going to be able to prevent the fact that we're finishing last this year. And Gasly put it into Q3, put it into P6, has been phenomenal this entire race weekend, has been controlling everything so well. And lo and behold, just like Pierre Gasly found his way back in the top 10, our very own Sarang, who was producing the show 5 minutes ago, is now
Yeah, I
on the
thought I'll
show
stop
right
yelling
now.
in your ear and just come back in front of the camera.
You might as
So
well, and you had the
I
fame
was
ready
trying to
for it.
figure out what's happening with Kunal, and it's like a pit wall right here on my system right now. Oh, he's coming in, he's going, just some really, really wonky internet. But hey, thanks for holding the fort, man. What I really do want to talk about is how Gasly really defended his position
Oh, yeah.
under pressure from all those cars, and he really had. I mean, if I were Hamilton, for all those laps, I would be frustrated as hell. But I'm not Hamilton. What did you make of his race? I think there was something for Pierre to really count on,
Yeah,
towards the end there.
very much so. I will go through to see what exact strategy he applied because I barely remember. It's also chaotic, but
Okay.
on the
Just,
surface,
just for our viewers and listeners, Kunal and Soumil were so excited to go live as soon as possible, right? That they did not want to wait for show notes. They did not want
no.
to wait for the podium ceremony, and we just hit record, and now here we are.
And that's why we're missing F1 stats guru,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
unlike
think someone
unlike
asked in the chat.
exactly, Sarika has. So for
Yeah.
context, during a Formula One race weekend, we're all doing multiple roles. So I'm commentating on the Hindi Formula One broadcast on Fan Code. Kunal's often on Viaplay's pre and post race show. This weekend he's not, so he's in Switzerland chilling. Kunal DNF. I love that. I love that. So that's why he's able to join us, or at least he tried to join us for this episode. And Sundaram has to do stats. He's working for multiple clients, broadcasters, motorsport websites, applications who have a lot of crazy Formula One content. That's why F1 Stats Guru is missing in this episode. He's working.
You guys will not believe why Kunal has DNF. It was a phone overheating issue.
No, no. I was blaming it on Swiss Wi Fi all along.
Yeah.
Oh,
Apparently
man.
there's some sort of a heat wave going on in Europe at the moment, and um, he's just causing his phone to go bonkers. I mean, talk about a nightmare of a race weekend for him.
No, crazy, crazy. Exoteric, he says, he or they, oh, I don't even know. I don't even know, but whoever you are, whatever you are, thank you for joining in, dude. I love this. Yay, I'm glad I caught the stream.
We're
Thank
glad
you.
you got
Like,
the stream. Yeah.
exactly these little comments, they mean so much, because so often we used to be doing the Inside Line F1 podcast with basically no one watching. Like we weren't live for a long time. It was just me and Kunal, and before that, afterwards Sundaram also joined in. But before me and Kunal, it was Kunal and Mithila, and they used to record at home alone, nobody watching, nobody listening, just for the fun of it. And the fact that we have so many of you joining live and sharing your views, that is all that we're doing this for. Because for us, the whole point is to create an F1 community where we can chat, share our opinions, discuss, provide insights, and bring you closer to the sport. In fact, we do this at our live events in Mumbai as well, which we haven't been able to do because Sundaram's been working on the sport and I've been commentating at the same time. So the fact that you guys are here chatting with us every race weekend means a lot. Thank you,
So
Exoteric.
since I'm back on the live show, let me just bring up penalty points again.
Oh,
I've been keeping count. Have you?
does this count for Kunal? This penalty, this
This
DNF,
does not count for Kunal. I mean, it's a DNF, right?
or one penalty point for poor equipment or something?
That's you can squarely blame it. You can give the penalty point to his phone. If the phone gets the penalty point. No, I think for the first time ever in this season, Sundaram has surpassed the both of y'all
Hmm.
for missing out on two streams consecutively. So he is up at 10.
Two away from a race ban.
Or possibly two away from a show ban. But yeah, you and Kunal are at six each. So,
I
and
can't believe we're at six. For the last 4 years, we haven't missed a single race.
mm,
And this year, rugby came along, and then Kunal had to move a house.
yeah. Anyway,
And
let's get back to talking about the race a little bit more. I think we've got about 5 6 minutes left on the show time. What did you think of Alonso's race? I mean,
crazy.
it was it was pretty crazy, right? Like at once he was complaining about how they never have the right strategy for him, and then they put
Yeah.
people on, was it the hards or the mediums? I
I don't
forget.
even know, bro.
Yeah.
I do not even remember. Is Where did he finish at the end? Let's see. Where did he finish? Fernando Alonso was in ninth. Double points for Aston Martin.
Because
Eight
the
points.
team had to, like, Aston Martin had to really tell him, boss, we're there, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to gain a couple of places because Ocon hasn't pitted yet. And then he was in the window for P9 because Ocon was 9 at that time in that lap. However, I don't think it really counted for much because it was really a hit and miss for quite a few cars because I think at that point 70% of the track was still friendly for inters and
Hmm.
people were going on dry tires way too soon. Like I think Alonso called it and then Russell called it and then
Yeah.
Russell just spun off, midway into the track, and then
That's
he
crazy.
and that was a bit of a regret. But then soon after that, there was a series of people pitting in, and then everyone taking a bit of a gamble with that. That gave Oscar the advantage, which I think Oscar the advantage to serve his
Penalty, yeah.
10-second penalty, which gave Lando the advantage to take the lead of the race. But I was watching the race for the first 25 laps, and I was literally having dinner because I usually don't eat, like I don't have things around me. I'm just like tuned onto the race. Um, and then for the first 25 laps, while I was having my dinner, I was like, okay, at least 21 laps have been on the safety car by now.
Yeah,
And then once the track started drying off a little bit, I was like, okay, now it got really interesting.
it did.
Uh, must have been quite a field day for you also in the comms box there.
Mental, I and let me just compose my thoughts. I'm so grateful for all of you joining in and reminding us that Alonso was on the mediums at the end. And he was one of the first people to risk the slicks because I genuinely don't remember a thing. It's like being, honestly, being in the commentary box, it's not as exhilarating as being in a Formula One car, but just about. And it's all a blur. Sometimes you don't even remember what went on. So that's why I'm now learning along with you what exactly is going on in the race. Like,
I'm having fun. I'm just looking at the comments again because Alonso was the first to try slicks. Then Russell went on hards, and then Exoteric is responding saying, "What the hell was Mercedes even thinking?"
yeah,
In
so
that.
I'll tell you why that happened because Russell used up his mediums very early.
Hmm.
Like I think he used the mediums out of the formation lap, and he only had one, so that's gone. Soft compound tires or hard compound tires, what do you choose? Now, throughout the race weekend, the soft has not turned out to be a very reliable race tire. Normally good for qualifying, but not so much. And wasn't the soft a C4 this time out? It was the C4. Teams have been having lots of issues warming up the softs. Now, the hards are theoretically even harder to warm up, but at least you can keep them on for longer and you can expect a more consistent performance life. With the softs, if it tanks, it tanks. And
Hmm.
maybe that's the reason why they didn't do it. And that's why Lewis also perhaps didn't have as much pace towards the end on Nico because at the beginning he was clocking in fastest laps and then it was just, it didn't work out. Maybe that's why they went on the hards. But nonetheless, I think two consecutive calls, Sarang, from George Russell and Mercedes, that absolutely failed.
Yeah,
It's
and I
huge.
was hoping, it would possibly with cooler temperatures they'd have a winning chance at some point
Yep.
because George started on P4 and he could have had the advantage. It was fun, but it was fun to watch that swap around happening between him and Hamilton. At one point Russell took the inside line, overtook him, and then Hamilton just took that place back, so on and so forth. It was fun to watch that, and tough luck for Kimi also getting rear-ended that way. Um, but yeah, what I can say is that all in all, if we were to summarize the British Grand Prix of this year, I think it was fantastic for Lando having that home win. A
Yeah.
tad disappointing for Oscar because it didn't go his way. He had
Dad.
all the right moves. Yeah,
Dad.
it's just a nicer way of saying it, my friend. I'm just trying to channelize my inner Oscar and not react too much to that. But an extremely, extremely great milestone for Nico Hulkenberg and Team Sauber, right? And it was, if or nothing, it was worth watching him put on, put that car on the podium, lap after lap. He was just going for it. Yeah, I think it's time to call it. I don't think
No,
Kunal's
it's
been
not
able.
time to call it.
Oh,
It's
is it?
not because I have had a thought and I
Oh,
want to carry on with it. Firstly, I just want to respond to Exoteric's comment. Surely used mediums would be better than new hards on a 24 degrees Celsius track. Theoretically, yes, but they were very used. I think they did a lot of laps. And plus, I'm not sure of how the conditions were, but generally teams tend to prefer a fresher tire regardless of what it was. So there's that. Fayanshu with the comment, Behrman the best racecraft rookie. I agree with you. I genuinely do, my friend. They're genuinely one of the best. Ocon collided into him. Rough race for Ocon as well. Two crashes today, one with Behrman, one with Liam Lawson. Tough days for all the rookies. Tough day, sorry. Lawson crashed. Hatchard didn't do very well. Behrman had an issue too at the end with Ocon. Antonelli got punted. There's a lot. But after we respond to the last two comments, we will then go to that one thought I have. Exoteric saying, "You gentlemen commentating from the races or studios local to you. I'm just wondering how badly you all need sleep." Very, very. Luckily, I had 12 hours last night. It's a Saturday, so you need to get in as much before race day. But Kunal's commentating. No, Kunal doesn't commentate, so he hosts the show at the Viaplay Studios in Oslo. So he's physically there. Now with Fan Code, it's the first year of the project, so we don't really have a physical studio yet. So I'm home in the comfort of my bedroom, but hopefully soon enough we will go to the races and commentate there. And Sarika, I was surprised the way Stroll was risking it all against Lewis Hamilton. But I don't want to talk about Carlos Sainz right now because it's been a terrible race for him. What I want to end the show on is a thought, Sarang. And I want to ask you and every one of you watching and commenting, does this now sour the relationship between the two McLaren drivers?
I, I don't think so. I think it was just a bit of confusion that Oscar had when it came to the penalty, but I think it was uh, there's not much he could do about it. I mean, the penalty was the penalty, and then the race went on. We had to go more racing, but I don't see why it would be perceived as team orders when once they have the debrief, right? So I don't think there is any chance for a rift between the two drivers. Is there a chance for a better title fight come in the next 12 races? Yes, for sure, right? Um, and hopefully they don't go the way of Hamilton and Rosberg in that era. But who knows? All in all, it just makes for great racing. That's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, I think the vibes are a little bit off though. I just saw a video of these guys celebrating on the podium, and it was so quick, like barely any champagne sprayed. Just disappointment on Oscar's face. Lando's of course super happy, but I'm very intrigued to see how they react. Fayanshu says, "Yup, Lando Oscar is over." Well, a Twitch streamer has won a Formula One Grand Prix today. That's absolutely phenomenal. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. There are so many things I'm seeing now on my Twitter feed that I really want to share with you guys. The Lego Trophy, amazing! Like that is such a crazy idea. A person saying Oscar is rattled by the situation and not Lando. Exoteric saying, I thought it was a max penalty when I saw it. Piastri can be mad at FIA, but not McLaren. He knows it's not Lando's fault. Well, he still tried to get Lando behind him in the middle of the race, so that intrigues me. But. Sorry. I, I hate to bring in another completely off-topic thing, but there's so much I want to share with you
I
guys.
knew it. I knew it. I knew when Kunal said we're going on for 15 minutes. I knew we'd drag this on for 40, and it's
I know.
40 minutes.
And we will still go on because Luke Smith, the journalist for The Athletic, great writer, has come back with a stat saying it's a bad day to be Adrian Sutil. He regains the record of the most F1 starts without the podium at 128.
I
There's a
totally
Force India
forgot about
connection.
that driver. Oh my god!
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh,
Just read the
man.
comments. Land Oscar is over. Oscar is rattled by the situation, and Land Oscar was never real to begin with. Oh my god, I'm having so much fun reading these
So much. So
comments.
much.
But
You
on
guys
that
are.
note, Soumil, I think it really is time to end.
Is it?
You might want to call the show. Uh, yeah, I think all in all a great race. I think it was a head spinner
Yeah.
for sure, even though there were quite a few spins on the track. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. Spins on track by three of the very best in the rain. Charles Leclerc, still good in the rain, but spins on track or wet weather mistakes from two rain masters, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I did not expect that. Like, it's an impossible situation. When does it ever happen?
I can't recollect the last time something like that happened to like, I mean, all the top drivers there, right? Wow. Okay. Now really is the time to
Now
end.
really
Got
is the
the
time.
nicest comment on the chat so far. Okay, from Isabel. Love the pod, guys. I'll try to catch the stream earlier next time. I always join at the end.
Well, all is well that ends well. And we don't want to end, as person has pointed out, that you can continue to talk to us. That comment means the world to me. Thank you. But if Sarang says so, we will have to go. He's the boss. He's the boss.
All right.
We and Leclerc lost control like 10 times. Person, yes, I want to talk about that too. This you know what? We should do a second
I
race
think we should
debrief
do a
tomorrow.
second show. Yeah,
Yeah.
Uttara's going to be on our cases for it. Find the time, guys, tomorrow.
Oh, there is technically a second show. So, guys, this Thursday, make sure you check out Fancode's Gearbox podcast. Now, I'm normally not someone who cross promotes things very much, but I host it, so I have to talk to you guys about it. And tomorrow morning at like precisely 10 and 12 hours from right now, F1 Stats Guru will join me in the studio, and Kunal will be joining me virtually for Fancode's Gearbox podcast. And that episode will be out on Thursday. And over there, we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff, analyzing the race, analyzing MotoGP, talking about a lot of Indian motorsport, and also predicting the 2026 Formula One grid. 27. This 26 is kind of dependent only on one driver. So watch out for that show as well. And subscribe to the Inside Line F1 podcast. Click the bell ringer. Share this episode with all your friends and family members who you think would have enjoyed it. And we will try our level best to be back right here, same place, for a second review, like a proper review, without internet issues, with all three of us, with all of you guys as well, and with Sarang not worrying about the time. I think it's time to go though.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining in, guys.
Do we dislike? No, we don't dislike Sarang. We love Sarang. We do, but he's just making sure that we're disciplined. He's like the FIA.
Yes. That's why the
Yes.
penalty points and the a lot of things that we discuss offline that I can't. All right, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Yes.